Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another 1/12 scale Batman figure unboxing and review. Today, we're taking a look at the LPZZ Arkham Knight Batman. I am so hyped to get stuck in, huge Arkham fan, and I've been seeing this figure absolutely everywhere online. I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as brand new Batman Arkham content goes live. Look, while it's true that I don't review a ton of 1/12 scale stuff on the channel, like that's a fact, I just don't, it doesn't mean that I don't love this scale. I absolutely do. Some of my favorite figures in my collection are smaller scale pieces, in Art's 1/12 scale Batman, for example. So when I started to see pictures of LPZZ's prototype for their Arkham Knight Batman and everything it was going to come with, and their plans for a Deathstroke in the future, this was an instant cop. As for the box art, loving this almost comic crosshatch style image of Batman in the rain off to one side. It was raining all the time in Arkham Knight, so that checks out. This metallic silver foil Arkham Knight logo. Then we've got some more licensing stuff at the bottom. For those wondering, yes, this is an officially licensed piece. This video is brought to you by JustinsCollection.shop, the home of the figure first aid kit, as well as other accessories to help your collection be the best it can be. The first aid kit contains multiple tools to help you with maintenance, styling rooted hair, and much more. We also sell crotch grabbers, soft rubber tips to prevent damage, and they're compatible with most modern Hot Toys base molds. Acrylic risers come in multi-packs. They're optically clear, thick and sturdy, and stackable. Check out the link to JustinsCollection.shop in the description. Pretty classy box as well. It's all black. It reminds me a lot of InArt's 1/12 scale Batman box. On the side of it, 1/12 scale collectible figure. Then on the back, hard to make out image of Gotham, and there's Batman gliding at the bottom. It's a lot easier to see in person. We've also got warnings and legal information. Back around the front, you can flip open the top flap held in place with magnets. Arkham Knight on the inside of it. Then an open window showcasing Batman, as well as all of his accessories inside. Oh, look at that spread right there. And they've included this teaser poster for Deathstroke. Having Slade versus Bruce in 1/12 scale in the collection is going to be so much fun. First in-hand impressions for Batman. So far, so good. I'm liking the feel of the cape material, and he's got a decent amount of weight to him. What we're going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box, and there's quite a few of them. Take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first, it's simple yet very effective. No frills, but it just gets the job done no problem. Hexagon stand at the bottom, bit of a kick up to the edge, makes it more visually interesting. White logo and text on a black background, perfect combo, heaps of contrast. But the nameplate is weird. Number one, I would have liked for it to be removable, and number two, why does it not say Batman? I know it's Batman from Arkham Knight, but this now reads as though it's a base for Arkham Knight himself, for Jason Todd, rather than Batman. This really should have said Batman, in my opinion. Flight pole up top, multi-jointed, and a waist clamp with accessible screws, so you can tighten this up if you find it gets a bit loose over time. Let's move pretty quickly through the Bat gadgets because there's so many of them. The sculpt work is immaculate, very crispy. The cartridges, all of the little linkages and bits and pieces. This doesn't fold, but it looks like it could. Cast in gunmetal, then there's a light silver dry brush over the top. This is the disruptor that Batman uses to disarm enemies, basically disabling their guns. The voice synthesizer, there's a dry brush on it, some silver paint apps, pretty shiny, even though it's not a gloss finish for the metallics, it's more of a dry matte finish, if that makes sense. An absolute classic, a staple for the Arkham series, the explosive gel gun painted in the same way as the voice synthesizer, gunmetal, then some silver and some dry brushing. Grappling gun, look at the detail work on the spool section in the middle. That fine grill detail. Up top, there's even more to look at. Unfortunately, the hook can't be removed, or maybe I should say fortunately, because it is really freaking small. Not one, but two line launchers. We get two of them. They don't move, there's no lines to attach to them, but for dynamic posing, Batman in midair, these are going to work a treat. Two batarangs, they're quite prickly, so be careful not to spike yourself. There's some silver paint apps on the blade, the sharp edges, and they don't fold, they're just static pieces. Then we get three different colors for the remote control batarangs with the bat symbol in the middle for all three of them over the colored sections. We've got red for slowing down, blue for when you just throw it, and green for when it's accelerating. And then a freeze grenade, digging the blue paint apps in those sunken in sections. We'll be discussing this head sculpt in a lot more detail on the body. For now, all you need to know is we get an unhelmeted sculpt. It looks pretty on model, and I'm loving this detail around the back for where the collar of the suit would be. Heaps of skin texture, 5 o'clock shadow, and these wispy bits of hair up top. Then they've chucked in an empty cowl that looks like it's sprung open because in-game, all of these panels and plates, they collapse in over Bruce's head, and when he's taking it off, they spring back open, revealing the mesh structure underneath them. For the cowl, not that one, it's a separate one already installed on the body, we get two different mouth plates. A neutral one and a teeth-gritted one. I'm leaning towards the neutral one, but we'll definitely try them both out. And lastly, a full array of hands, ranging from fingers splayed out, there's silver paint apps, dry brushing, and some grey on the inside, plus heaps of sculpted detail. Two batarang holding hands, two gripping hands, two more slightly different gripping hands, trigger finger hands, and two closed fists already installed on him right out of the box. What we're going to do now is get Batman himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that yet. That is coming a little bit later. Stay tuned to the end of the video. I was not expecting this today. I thought I'd sit down, take a look at a pretty good 1/12 scale Batman, not a near perfect one. This company, as far as I'm aware, is new to the scene, and what is with these companies just coming out of nowhere and blowing us away with these 1/12 scale Batman pieces? First we had InArt, now LPZZ. This figure is so good. He's near perfect. There's a couple of things that we need to discuss. For the most part, if you've got this thing on the way, he lives up to the hype. He maybe even goes beyond that. You should be very excited for this thing to hit your doorstep. Up close and personal, dude, this is a 1/12 scale Batman. 1/12 scale figures have come a long way over the years, and this is evidence of that. The mix of different textures and finishes in terms of sculpt and paint, how much detail they were able to pack in. That looks like a simulated bicep underneath a fabric suit with the pulling and wrinkling around it. So impressive, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Kicking things off with Batman's cowled head sculpt. Does it look like the character model from the game? 100%. No matter which way I turn it, shape, size-wise, it's not too big or too small on the body, they killed it. And it's got switch-out mouth plates and moving eyes. Then we've got the Bruce Wayne head sculpt. The only complaint I have is the ears might be a hair thick, and they've done that so they weren't fragile. They're PVC plastic, so they won't break on you, but thickening them up a bit, I understand that decision. And the seam over the top, because you have to remove the front to move the eyes around, slightly too big of a gap there. Once again, I understand why that's happened, because it's two separate pieces that have to connect. Tolerances can never be 100% perfect. I would have liked if they could have gotten a bit closer than that. Some folks are going to argue that it's more of a helmet than a cowl, and it does split over the top, as is evidenced by this piece right here, the open cowl, so that seam should be there. If that's the only thing that I can possibly complain about with this head sculpt, I'd say that they're on to a winner with this. Now, the mouth plate, it's cast out of a semi-translucent plastic, so it has that subsurface scattering look to it, like real human skin. That adds realism. There's some 5 o'clock shadow and some skin texture. Switching it For the angry one, I like that it's included. It's not my favorite of the two. The teeth are a bit pink, and I understand color theory, color science that says figures' eyes and teeth should never be pure white because that looks too stark against everything else. Whiter than this would have been my preference, and the mouth being as rectangular as it is doesn't work for me. For my copy of Batman, I'll be sticking with the stoic mouth plate. Just my preferred option. Let me know what you think, though, down in the comments. So, how do you access the moving eyes, I hear you ask? Quite straightforward. You remove the front of the cowl, then you've got access to the two tiny, microscopically small movable eyeballs. They've included two of these posts that you can wedge into the back of the eyeballs. Then you can use that stick as leverage to move them round. I'm not going to be able to line them up for some side-eye on camera, so let me get that sorted, then we can reassemble the cowl, see what that looks like. Oh my word. Moving eyes are a game changer for this Arkham Knight Batman. I wish we had moving eyes in 1/6 scale with this version of Batsy. Will I be displaying him with some side-eye? You bet I will. I'm curious to see what he looks like with no pupils and irises, like Detective Vision or comic book style Batman, so let's do that. It's not bad. It gives me that Detective Vision look. If ever I've got him in a pose as though he's investigating a crime or a crime scene or something, this could work for that. And because the eyes have a gloss to them, they still stand out against the satin finish for the rest of the cowl. Let's move on to the Bruce Wayne sculpt. I like it, but I don't think I love it. I'm going cowled for my Arkham Knight Batman. It definitely looks like Bruce from the game, and detail-wise, all of the skin texture and that stuff, no complaints. But it looks maybe a bit small on the body, and the way his eyes have been painted. He's got this semi-dead-eyed stare look about him. I don't want to knock this head sculpt. I'm still so glad they included it. Not my preference, though. I already said it. I will be displaying him with the cowl on. Back to that sculpt. Time to discuss the cape. I was nervous it would be pleather, because usually that's the go-to for companies making Arkham Knight Batman. It's easy. It's accessible. It's cheap, I would imagine. LPZZ did not use pleather for Batman's cape. It's a shiny, waxed, satin-feeling material. Then for the motif that's integrated into it, it's screen printed. Wired along the edges, wires in these spines on both sides, then some wires down the middle. The wingspan is quite big, enough for you to be able to get Batsy into a convincing gliding pose, I reckon. Out of the box, you are going to need to manage the cape. It's meant to sit underneath his shoulder pads. The wires end right there, so you can just push it in, shape it over his traps, then cover up the gaps with the shoulder pads. It is not hard to do. It'll take you like 2 seconds. The outfit. We've got the black mesh honeycomb looking sections, then a tighter weave for the mesh on some of the armor plates, and you can feel all of that texture. It's quite a visceral experience actually handling this piece, the mix of different sculpted panels. Then the grey sections, they've got the wrinkling and what looks like musculature poking through, and we've got integrated engineering that's almost invisible. Like, for example, with the chest plate. These side pieces, like they can in-game, in 1/12 scale, can move in, so that you can get maximum range of motion. Even the Hot Toys version of Arkham Knight Batman can't do that. Gauntlet fins are PVC plastic, so they are not going to break on you. They've sculpted the honeycomb texture on the double bend elbow joints. So that is not bare unpainted plastic. It's not a perfect integration. You can still see the cuts. It's a lot better than that just being shiny plastic though. The belt is a free floating piece, and you can separate the side panels so that it gets out of the way for the legs when it comes to articulation. You will see what I mean in the articulation segment. Coming down to the legs themselves, nice and chalky. The musculature. Batman is ripped in the Arkham games, and you can see that in 1/12 scale with this figure. Even around the back, he's covered in sculpted detail. How are the boots? They look accurate to me, suitably bulky. There's some gappiness around the front. That is a small price to pay for the amount of range and articulation we get out of them. There's silver integrated into the design. There's some lighter silver dry brushing. You can see it as light bounces off the surface. Sculpted tread on the underside, of course. By far my biggest takeaway, the thing that has impressed me the most with this, it's not the sculpt, it's not the paint, those things are big W's. It's the proportions. The shape and size of the shoulders, the length of the arms. He's bulky where he needs to be. He slims down at the waist like he's supposed to. The shape and size of the head sculpt. The hands aren't too big or too small. Everything has been considered, and you can tell a lot of love has gone into this piece. For a quick side-by-side comparison, LPZZ's Arkham Knight Batman on the left, InArt's Batman on the right. They're both supposedly 1/12 scale. It's hard to compare a video game version of The Dark Knight to a movie one, because how do you know if they're truly in scale? One is a real person, whereas the other is from a game. According to Google, Arkham Knight Batman is 6'2", Christian Bale is 6 foot, so there should be a height difference between them. Also factoring in Arkham Knight Batman has longer ears and chonkier boots. I don't have an issue with this height difference, personally. Ooh, he's not far off being able to scale with McFarlane multiverse figures. Not quite there, he's still shorter than 89 Bats. In a pose, a dynamic pose, this Batman versus McFarlane Deathstroke, for example, that could potentially work. How about with a Mezco piece? This is their Netflix series Punisher. Punisher is shorter than Batman. I don't know if this does anything for anyone, but if you've got Mezco figures only in your collection, this is how Batman scales next to one. And lastly, scaling with Marvel Legends, this is the animated version of Spidey. Batman is quite a bit taller than Marvel Legends Spidey, so hopefully that helps. Going over articulation, starting off with Batman's head sculpt. Ball joint at the base of the neck, double ball peg underneath the head itself, looking all the way forward, and for an armored Batman like this, very impressive. Looking all the way up as well, doesn't even get that gappy. Swivel and tons of pivot side to side. Arms can go completely flush down by his sides. Once again, for an armored character, his arms will go out to there. You can extend them at the shoulders. Shoulder pads drop down. Arms will go up, forward and back. Butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. And the chest armor, the chest plate can move forward, so you can bring his arms as far forward as possible. Swivel at the bicep. Double bend at the elbow, going past 90, no problem. Then for the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. Torso range is outstanding, crunching forward to there, going back to there. Once again, it doesn't get gappy. More detail is just tucked up underneath the armor pieces. Swivel and plenty of pivot side to side. Legs drop down at the hips. We can also unclip the belt to maximize leg range going forward to there. They go out at the same time. I reckon you can work with that. Going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, and a swivel at the hip joint. Double bend at the knee, going way past 90. I don't even know how that's possible, and it doesn't look ugly when you do it. Then for the ankles, it's a ball peg that terminates in a hinge and swivel. Just the top joint would have been sufficient because you get forward and back rotation and ankle tilt, but the hinge and swivel allows you to push this foot even further, forward and back, or if you rotate the joint side to side. Lastly, toe articulation. Wrapping up on one of the best 1/12 scale Batman figures that I have ever seen. It is seriously that good. If you're a Batman fan, if you're an Arkham fan, if you're a 1/12 scale collector, you need to get this. It does not get much better than this. They've tried to hide the articulation as best as possible. They've integrated all of this bespoke special engineering to give you as much range as possible. You get a ton of accessories, switch out mouth plates, moving eyes in 1/12 scale. I still cannot believe I'm saying that. There is so much to love here. Very few complaints from me. Yes, I've been going on and on about how good this thing is, but you can see it for yourself. You can see how spectacular this figure truly is. At the end of this video, do I think that this is a must-have? Should be pretty clear by now. I've already said it so many times. Hell yes, this is a must-have. I'm so happy I picked it up, and I am impatiently now awaiting the arrival of Deathstroke and whoever the heck else they decide to make from Arkham Knight. I am all the way in LPZZ. Keep this line going. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.